Hey there folks, welcome back. This time, we'll have a closer look at Monsters from Planet Monsterous, a lost 1996 children's television program from Channel 9. The original idea behind VHS tapes of old was to post the contents of videocassettes he and his family would watch together during Friday movie nights and talk about his memories of those times. Sifting through a wooden chest containing these tapes, the uploader stumbled upon an odd one, purporting to be a home video version of a show called Monsters from Planet Monsterous. He did a bit of digging for information regarding the series, only to come up empty-handed. It's as if the show never existed. In September 2020, the first recording of the tape was posted to YouTube. The tape is badly damaged, and the uploader was only able to capture small stretches of fairly clean footage by aiming his camera at the TV. As more videos were uploaded, more expectations about the tape were shattered. It turns out that this isn't a home video release of Monsters, but a live broadcast recording of Channel 9 programming. The show is interrupted by increasingly long strings of very strange and creepy commercials, and these almost completely overshadow Monsters after a while.
But not for long.
We've talked about the ads. Now let's get back on track and focus on what was supposed to be the tape's main feature. Monsters from Planet Monsterous is a lost television show created by Larval Pictures and the Imago Group from 1995 into 1996. It's about two kids who help a wizard repel an invasion force from Planet Monsterous, who are trying to conquer their planet. The show employs a claymation style reminiscent of older British television programs for children. The main cast of characters include the two kids, a cautious and thoughtful boy named Coben, and Jayla, a brave but overconfident girl. The kids are sent on various missions by a wise, disciplined wizard who masterminds their fight against Planet Monsterous. Obviously, the invasion force from Planet Monsterous consists of various grotesque monsters. The higher-ranking monsters are elemental in nature. One can manipulate fire, another one uses wind to attack, and there's even one who's almost entirely made of cake. We'll get to him in a moment. On the surface, the show has no apparent connection to any of the weird ads on the tape. It's a self-contained, run-of-the-mill kids show. This might not entirely be the case, but we'll talk about connections as they come up. The uploader has chronicled his extreme difficulty in finding watchable parts of the show on the badly damaged tape. Due to this, only select portions of each episode can be gone over. Also, the tape only contains episodes 9 through 12, and no other episodes are known to exist. This first episode involves Coben being poisoned by a monster called Poisonous. What we're seeing now is the aftermath. Jayla and Wizard must find some way to cure Coben, who is bedridden from the venom. Jayla suggests that Wizard create a potion that can cure all types of venom, but Wizard disagrees, saying that this is essentially impossible without a piece of cake taken from a cake monster. Wizard says something here that sounds like the word ichor, but the distortion makes this hard to discern. Jayla, intrigued by the idea of a monster made entirely out of cake, vows to retrieve a small piece of him in order to save Coben. Wizard flatly refuses to allow Jayla to go alone, saying that she needs to take Coben with her. After this discussion, Wizard considers casting a spell, presumably to revive Coben for a short time, as we see him walking around in this clip from part 2. The kids travel to an island made of various sweets, and eventually run into Cakerus, the cake monster. Cakerus briefly mentions that the invasion forces have deployed artificial islands in the kids' world. Coben tries to reason with Cakerus, saying that they only want a small piece of him for the antivenom. However, Cakerus is fed up with the other monsters eating pieces off of him, despite the fact that they grow back. He absolutely won't allow the kids to do this either. Unfortunately, there's no more footage of this episode, and we run straight into a promo for Techno Wars. In this episode, we hear Jayla lamenting over having accidentally broken Wizard's wand while fighting Rockerus, an unseen monster. Doing this caused another monster called Magicus to break free, and the kids are tasked with bringing him back to Wizard. The kids fly in the Wizard 1, and are eventually intercepted by a cloud monster. We don't get to see much of him, or even know what his name is, as the tape's damage ruins a good portion of the footage. Eventually, the kids track down Magicus, who resents Wizard and refuses to go back with them. They try to negotiate with him. Jayla mentions that he's abandoning Wizard, despite everything he's done for him. The tape abruptly jumps ahead for a reason I'll get to later. The kids now have to fight waves of small monsters. Jayla, being overconfident, boasts that she isn't scared, saying that she can take on twice as many monsters. As if on cue, another wave of monsters are summoned to fight the kids, to Coben's disapproval. Once again, the tape degenerates into static, and there's no more usable footage of this episode. Here, Coben and Jayla have infiltrated a castle in search for an important book. The castle turns out to be a major base of operations by the monster invaders, led by Waterous, the general of the planetary invasion force. Waterous is joined by a fire monster who traps the kids by summoning a wall of fire, and Poisonous, who speaks out of line about the importance of the ancient book. After a short conversation with Waterous about Wizard's sense of ethics, or lack thereof, he lays out his demand to the kids: "Give me that book." Cornered and desperate, Coben decides to try and burn the book in the firewall, realizing its equal importance to the monsters. Note the strange symbols on the book itself, which resemble duelist grid glyphs. Waterous commands the fire monster to dispel the wall, and the kids make a break for it. A trio of smaller monsters chase the kids through Waterous Castle, eventually opening a trick door which leads outside, but quite a ways up. The kids are cornered once again. We don't get to see exactly what happens next, but the uploader points out that the clips shown in Part 5 and 6 are in reverse order, and that Wizard eventually came to their rescue. After arriving back home, the kids complain about the dangerous nature of their assigned missions, and begin to lose the motivation to continue fighting the monsters. Wizard responds by saying that, even absent the monsters, the world still has had problems, and that trying to help the people on their planet would in itself cause further conflict. This leads into a discussion between Wizard and the kids about problems in their world. Coben reveals that Wizard has the power to leverage the combined knowledge of the dead, and asks him what the most severe problems sapients have encountered and have taken to their grave.
If you must know.
Wizard's answer is completely obscured by this weird buzzing noise. Going slightly off the monsters discussion for a moment, let's have a closer look at this noise. Viewing the audio spectrogram corresponding to this part of the episode, we can see a wide frequency which appears to have 3 symbols etched into it. These are Japanese katakana characters for kamiya, a word which literally translates to God Valley, Upper Valley, or Divine Valley. Other than this, it's a fairly common Japanese surname. The name has a value of 144, which happens to be one of the 9 holy points. Exactly what this means is not completely clear at this time. Anyway, the buzzing noise continues, and the image repeats itself about 79 times, taking up Wizard's entire monologue. Whatever Wizard told the kids was evidently enough to encourage them to continue their quest to repel the monster invasion, and Wizard tells them to get ready for tomorrow's lesson. For the first time, we see the show's credits. There are a few weird things about this sequence. The first is that the names that appear near the beginning are largely American Old West puns, like Yarth Unslinger and Kay Wickdraw. The uploader mentions that his father had a passion for Western films, and that he himself did not. It could be that the tape entity was probing the other tapes in the uploader's chest. But for now, this aspect is in a world of its own, and doesn't seem relevant to monsters at all. Most of the other names range from routine to kind of unusual to pretty weird. I'd like to say that this is yet another code, but I don't really know what to make of it at the moment. Note the unusual credits for the biology unit, spherograph operators, and inhibitor maintenance. We'll talk about the latter too in a short while. Also see how large the security section is. The final screen mentions how the parent companies hold no responsibility for mental anguishes brought on by watching the show. Kind of a dire thing to put on a kid's show, don't you think? This final episode involves some unspecified chaos during Jayla's 12th birthday. Somehow she ends up alone in a strange forest. She is stalked by an unseen creature, whom she challenges to show itself and face her. The creature turns out to be a shapeshifter and has taken on Jayla's form. It appears to have a degree of awareness of the true nature of the series' reality, as it suggests that Jayla pause and fast forward as if she were a character on TV. It also poses questions to Jayla about what it means to say that one of them is real and the other fake, challenging her perceptions of reality, which confuses her. I believe that this discussion parallels the greater theme of the series, supposedly fictional things breaking free from their less-than-real state and asserting their place in reality. Eventually, Coben finds Jayla's general location in the forest, but she tells him to stay where he is. The shape-shifting creature is apparently on the kid's side, as it hands Jayla a red letter, telling her to give it to a good person closer to the center of the world in secret. The implication is that doing this will help other shape-shifting creatures, and in turn help repel the monster invasion. The episode ends here, as the tape's damage begins to show again. Unfortunately, these are all the clips of monsters currently in existence, aside from a higher quality recording of the credit sequence. We still have more to go over about the tape itself, its associated companies, and other things that may connect the show to the greater series. The Monsters tape comes from an alternate dimension, and was created for a mysterious purpose. First, let's have a look at the box the tape comes in. The uploader provides high-resolution scans of both the box and the tape itself in the description for Part 6. This is the front of the box. There's nothing truly significant here, or so it seems. Clearly it's seen a lot of rough handling over the years. The price sticker in the corner is a little interesting. Someone paid $17.95 for their copy of this show from a retailer called World Kids, or maybe World and Kids. It's kind of hard to tell. The little yellow thing right there that might be an ampersand, or maybe the word of, World of Kids, I don't know. Here's the side of the box and the tape itself. Again, there's nothing truly jaw-dropping about anything here. I can't help but feel that the code number below the VHS logo is somehow relevant. Now for something a bit more interesting. This is the back of the box. On the surface, this is just more of the same, just some blurbs about the 4 episodes of Monsters featured on the tape. Earlier I talked about the final episode, The Lost, and I only showed a partial description for it. Half of the description has been deliberately damaged for some reason. I was able to reconstruct most of it using the kerning and typographical features of other letters on the box. A word is used here that I couldn't really make out. It looks as if it spells Keyaxeration or Keyaximation, but it's very heavily damaged. Whatever it is, the kids must have used this to get Jayla back home. I've taken a look at this EAN13 barcode, which actually is valid. What's weird is that my barcode scanner returns the code in reverse. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find anything online with either sequence. The copyright text is also interesting. It claims that the tape was printed and manufactured in the USP. Sadly, the part of the box where the rest of the name is printed is also damaged. The end of this text gives some care instructions for the tape. If this videocassette is in need of repairs, please do not hesitate to throw it into the largest, prickliest bush you can find and hope for the best. Now we have the tape itself. Note the little label in the corner that reads, Trinity is 81. That word actually does have a gematria value of 81, for whatever that's worth. Anyway, let's look at the tape's label. The warning from PDIB is fairly standard wording for a videocassette, but there's another very cryptic warning at the end. Do not remove inhibitor in case of monsters. The purpose and function of this inhibitor is unknown, but it was evidently used in the production of Monsters, according to the show's credits. I should also mention that larval refers to an early stage in insect development, and an imago is a fully grown insect. Also keep the weird logo for the imago group in mind, as this actually does play into something we'll talk about in my next video. The uploader takes a closer look at the tape in Part 4, where the clip of episode 10 comes from. That sudden jump in the footage was caused by a physical splice made in the tape, leaving a chunk of the show totally lost. The reason for this is unknown, and the uploader notes this strange choice to start removing bits of the tape so late into the footage. My next video will be slightly different than all the others up to this point. Essentially, we'll talk about what we don't know and what we've been able to figure out about the series so far. I'll also go over some new developments concerning some of the puzzles we've encountered. I'd like to mention that there is a Monsters Discord server. If you have an answer to an unsolved puzzle, an interesting take on series lore, or if you just like to talk about the series, you are invited. Check out the invite link in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a happy Halloween.